I vanished the day I discovered my wife's baby wasn't mine. 5 years of peace in the Colorado Rockies, until she found me. Not to apologize, to destroy me. She brought a lawyer, forged documents, and $175,000 in demands. But she didn't know my neighbor had been collecting evidence for 5 years. Neither did my daughters, who believed I was the monster. My name is Lyle Hollis. I'm 58, and 5 years ago, I disappeared after learning my wife's baby wasn't mine. She found me years later. That's when everything fell apart. I was splitting oak behind my cabin outside Durango, Colorado, when I heard the engine. Wrong kind of sound for these mountains. Too smooth. City car. A black SUV with rental plates pulled into my clearing. Nadine stepped out first. My ex-wife wore a cream suit and heels that sank into the mountain dirt. A lawyer climbed out after her. Had to be. Expensive suit, briefcase, that particular aggression. "Hello, Lyle," Nadine said. "We need to talk about what you owe us." I stayed by the woodpile, hand on my axe. "Us." Gregory Ashford, representing Mrs. Hollis, the lawyer said. 5 years without contact. 5 years of financial burden on her shoulders alone. "The baby wasn't mine," I said. "She knows that. You were his father for 25 years. Nadine's voice went hard. "You don't get to walk away because I made a mistake. Because you had an affair. Got pregnant. Refused to end it even after I found out." Gregory cleared his throat. "Mrs. Hollis filed documentation when you vanished. Police reports. Evidence of erratic behavior. Her actions to protect assets were justified." My chest tightened. "What actions?" "The house transferred to Mrs. Hollis. Your mill buyout placed in protected accounts. Your retirement liquidated." He smiled. "All documented. All notarized. I never signed anything. We have your signature. County recorded. If you're suggesting forgery, you'll need proof you don't have." Nadine moved closer. "You've been hiding while we struggled. While Juliet wondered why her father abandoned her. My oldest. 30 now. 5 years gone. How is she?" Nadine's eyes gleamed with victory. "Getting married this fall. You won't be invited. She doesn't want a father who ran." $175,000, Gregory said. "Support, asset division, damages. Pay it, this ends. Refuse, we file in Mesa County. Public record. Everyone will know what you are." I looked at Nadine. Tried to see the woman I'd married. She was gone. "Leave," I said. 48 hours. The lawyer dropped a card. "Then we proceed." They drove away. Dust settled. Across the clearing, Dale Hutchins stood watching. 73, Vietnam vet. He didn't wave. Just witnessed. The drive to legal aid took 4 hours through mountain passes. I went to Montrose, 3 towns over where nobody knew my face. The office was cramped, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Stacks of files covered every surface. This was where people came when they couldn't afford real lawyers. The woman behind the desk looked up. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled back, glasses sliding down her nose. Her nameplate said Jennifer Walsh. "How can I help you?" I sat in the plastic chair. It creaked. Same sound as 100 other desperate people. "My ex-wife is suing me for $175,000. Says I abandoned the family. Says I owe support for a kid that isn't mine." Jennifer pulled a legal pad closer, clicked her pen. "Start from the beginning." So I did. The whole ugly truth. Coming home early from the mill. The baby with another man's eyes. The paternity test. Nadine's admission. Her refusal to end it with him. My decision to leave. "Did you keep the test results?" Jennifer asked. "Any documentation of the affair?" "No." The word felt heavy. "I want a clean break." Took my truck and left. She tapped her pen, thinking. That's a problem. Without evidence, this becomes he said, she said. And Mr. Hollis, the fact that you left doesn't look good. Abandonment is abandonment in the eyes of the law. I had a business partner, Terrence Boyd. We ran the lumber mill together in Kansas. He bought me out when I left, gave me fair price. If he kept business records showing what the marital assets actually were, we might prove her claims are inflated. That was 5 years ago. He might not have kept files that long. Terrence never throws anything away. Tax reasons, he always said. Jennifer wrote down his name. Call him. See what he has. Without documentation, Mr. Hollis, you're fighting uphill. Walking to my truck, I felt the weight. The law didn't care about heartbreak. Didn't care that staying meant dying slowly in a house full of lies. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Dad, Mom showed me the court papers. You owe us $175,000. How could you hide money while we struggled? Juliet. My daughter thought I was a thief. I sat in the truck, engine off, staring at Terrence's number. We hadn't talked in 5 years. He'd asked once if I was okay. I'd said yes and stopped answering. Now I needed something from him. The call went through. 3 rings. Lyle. Terrence's voice, surprised but not unfriendly. That really you? Yeah, it's me. I watched a young mother wrestle a toddler into the building. Normal people. Normal problems. I need to ask something. Did you keep the business records from when you bought me out? The partnership files, asset statements. Silence. Then, yeah, I keep everything. Tax reasons. He paused. What's going on? I told him. Brief. Nadine's lawsuit, the forged signatures, the money she claimed I owed. Jesus, Lyle. His voice went heavy. I'll look tonight. Call you tomorrow. I appreciate it. Lyle. He hesitated. I'm glad you called. Been wondering about you. We hung up. I sat there watching the fluorescent lights flicker in the legal aid window. Jennifer was already with another client. Someone else's crisis. My phone buzzed again. Different number. This is Gregory Ashford. 46 hours remaining, Mr. Hollis. We can resolve this quietly or publicly. Your choice. I started the engine and headed back toward the mountains. Terrence called back the next evening. I was on the porch watching the sun drop behind the mountains, coffee going cold in my hand. Dale's porch light was on across the way, steady as always. Lyle, I found the files. Terrence's voice sounded wrong. Heavier. It's worse than you think. My hand tightened on the phone. How much worse? She forged your signature on the house deed. I've got our original partnership dissolution here. Your signature looks nothing like what's on the county transfer documents. The coffee mug felt slick. What else? Your retirement account. She liquidated it 2 weeks after you left. Transferred most of it to an account belonging to... He paused. Kyle Brennan. That's him, right? The guy she was with. Yeah, that's him. There's more. Terrence's voice dropped. The missing person report. She filed it the day you left. Claimed you were suicidal. Said you'd been acting erratic. Used it to get emergency access to your accounts. The mountain air felt thin. Suicidal. The cops interviewed me back then. I didn't know what she was doing. They asked if you seemed depressed after the baby came. I said yeah, you seemed off. I thought I was helping them find you. His breath came ragged. I gave her the ammunition she needed. God, Lyle, I'm sorry. I watched light fade from the valley. Nadine hadn't just stolen my money. She'd built a legal fiction that made me the villain. You didn't know. I should have questioned it. But she was crying, and Juliet was so angry, and everyone believed her story. He stopped. I'll testify. I'll tell them I was wrong, that I didn't know the whole truth. I appreciate that. After we hung up, I sat with the weight of it. My phone showed Juliet's accusatory text. I typed a response. The money your mother says I hid, she stole. The signatures are forged. I can prove it. Deleted it. Typed again. I never abandoned you. Your mother lied about why I left. Deleted that too. Anything I said would sound offensive. Would sound like excuses. Finally typed, I love you. I always have. Couldn't send it. She wouldn't believe it anyway. The next morning, a woman appeared at Dale's place. Mid-60s, driving a sedan with Kansas plates. She talked with Dale for 20 minutes, then drove to my cabin. She got out carrying a manila envelope. Professional clothes, gray hair and a neat bun. Kind eyes behind wireframe glasses. Mr. Hollis? My name is Gloria Patterson. I worked as a secretary at the community center where your wife volunteered. She held out the envelope. I think you need to see this. Inside were photographs. Nadine and Kyle Brennan at community center events. Dates stamped on the back going back 7 years. Before the pregnancy. Before I knew anything was wrong. I saw them together for years, Gloria said quietly. The way they looked at each other. It wasn't innocent. When I heard she was claiming you abandoned her, taking you to court, she shook her head. I couldn't stay silent anymore. My conscience wouldn't let me. Why now? Why after 5 years? Because I heard through the grapevine you were fighting back, that you needed evidence. She met my eyes. Good men deserve someone in their corner, Mr. Hollis, even when they're too proud to ask for help. After she left, I spread the photographs on my table. 7 years of proof. 7 years of Nadine's lies documented by someone who'd simply been paying attention. My phone rang. Jennifer Walsh, the legal aid attorney. Mr. Hollis. I reviewed what your partner sent over. The forgery is provable. Combined with the financial records, we have a case. She paused. But you should know, her lawyer will argue your abandonment justified her actions. A desperate woman protecting her family. Even with proof she forged documents. They'll try. It won't be clean, and it'll be public. Your daughter will hear everything. I looked at the photographs spread before me. 7 years of betrayal. Let it be public, I said. I'm done running. That night, I stood in my cabin with my truck keys in hand. The engine was already running outside. Maps pulled up on my phone showing routes to Wyoming, Idaho, places even more remote than here. I could be across state lines by morning. Start over again. Let Nadine have her victory. Let Juliet keep her simple story about the father who abandoned her. It would be easier. The keys felt heavy. I'd done this before. 5 years ago, choosing distance over confrontation. It had brought me peace, sure, but also this moment. Running didn't end anything. It just postponed the reckoning. Dale's old pickup pulled into my driveway, blocking me in. He got out slow, carrying something. A metal box I'd never seen before. He tapped on my window. Turn that engine off, Lyle. We need to talk. Dale, I'm leaving. It's what I do. You can leave tomorrow if you still want to. His voice was firm. But first, look at what I brought. I killed the engine. Followed him to the porch. The box was old, scratched, heavy. He unlocked it and lifted the lid. Inside were folders. Dozens of them. Organized, labeled, color-coded tabs. What is this? Dale looked at me with those steady eyes that had seen worse things than domestic betrayal. Your ammunition. I've been collecting it for 5 years. My hands went still. What? 5 years ago, you moved in next door with nothing but a truck and a look I recognized. The look that says, I'm done being where I'm not wanted. He opened the first folder. I had that same look 40 years back when I came here. My wife had an affair. Gave me a choice. Stay and pretend it never happened, or leave and be called the bad guy. The wind picked up, scattering dust across the porch. I left. Dale continued. Never fought back. Never told my side. Spent 40 years wondering if I was a coward. His voice roughened. When I saw you, I decided something. If your story was like mine, you weren't going to face it alone and empty-handed. He pulled out documents, property records, bank statements, photographs, witness statements. You investigated me. I watched. I listened. I drove to Kansas 6 times over 5 years. Talked to your old neighbors, people at your mill, folks who knew you both. He met my eyes. Cost me most of my savings. But I'm old and single. What else am I spending it on? I stared at the mountain of evidence he'd built. 5 years of believing I was worth defending when I'd barely believed it myself. You don't have to fight, Dale said. You can still leave, drive to Wyoming, start fresh. But you don't have to run empty-handed anymore. You got proof now. You've got truth, documented and ready. The keys were still in my hand. Wyoming waited. Idaho waited. Another 5 years of peace earned through distance. But my daughter was out there believing I was a thief. And I had proof I wasn't. I pulled out my phone. Called Jennifer Walsh. I have more documentation, I said when she answered. All of it. Can you meet tomorrow? Dale's hand landed on my shoulder. Firm. Steady. That's how you thank me, he said quietly. By standing your ground. Juliet stood in her mother's garage in Topeka, surrounded by boxes that held pieces of a life she thought she understood. Tom, her fiancé, was helping her search for wedding decorations Nadine swore were stored somewhere back here. This is hopeless, Juliet said, pushing aside a box labeled Christmas 2019. Tom pulled out another unmarked box. What about this one? Inside were tools, old paperwork, a jacket. Juliet lifted the canvas work jacket, heavy and worn at the elbows. It smelled faintly of sawdust and something else that tugged at memory. Is that your dad's? Tom asked. Nadine appeared in the doorway. Why are you going through that? Just throw it away. The sharpness in her mother's voice made Juliet look up. I was just. Throw it away or donate it. I don't care. I don't want it in my house. Nadine's face had gone tight. After she left, Tom looked at Juliet. That was weird. Yeah. Juliet held the jacket, feeling its weight. Something fell off. She took it home instead of donating it. 3 days later, trying on for no reason she could name, her hand found the inner pocket. Something crumpled inside the lining. A receipt. Yellowed, folded small. Kansas Medical Laboratory. Paternity test. Results ready for pickup. The date was 5 years ago. 6 weeks before her father left. Juliet sat on her bed, the receipt shaking in her hands. She'd been 25 that year. The test wasn't about her. Her mother had been pregnant when Dad left. Juliet remembered the tension, the whispered arguments, then nothing. Dad just gone. The baby was born 7 months later. Her half-brother, living with Mom and Kyle now. She pulled out her phone, searched. Can you get paternity test while pregnant? Answer: yes. Prenatal paternity test, available after 7 weeks. Her father had known. Before he left, he'd known the baby wasn't his. Which meant her mother had known too. Juliet called Nadine, trying to keep her voice steady. Mom, where are the photos from 5 years ago? Right before Dad left. Why are you asking about that? Wedding photo album. Tom wants to see what our family looked like. I threw those away. Too painful. Too quick. Too defensive. Juliet hung up, stared at the receipt. All photos from that year gone. Her mother, who kept every school paper, every birthday card, had thrown away an entire year of photographs. Tom found her still sitting there an hour later. You okay? I found something. She showed him the receipt. A paternity test from right before Dad left. Mom was pregnant. The baby, Kyle's kid. Tom read it, understanding dawning. Your dad knew. The test proves it. Juliet's voice faltered. I've spent 5 years hating him, telling everyone he abandoned us. And he had a reason. A real reason. You should ask your dad about this. No. The word came automatic. 5 years of anger, of shame. He had a chance to explain. Did he? Or did you not let him? Juliet found her father's number in Nadine's phone, saved under deadbeat. Texted. I found something in your jacket. A receipt from a medical lab. Paternity test, dated 5 years ago. Hours passed. No response. She was starting to think he wouldn't answer when her phone buzzed. That test proved the child your mother was carrying wasn't mine. She knew the results before I left. I'm sorry you're finding out this way. The world tilted. Juliet read it again. Again. Juliet drove to her mother's house without calling first. Walked in to find Nadine and Kyle in the kitchen. Coffee mugs, morning paper. The domestic scene suddenly looked obscene. You were pregnant when Dad left, Juliet said. Was it his baby? Nadine's face went white, then red. This is exactly what he wants. To turn you against me. Answer the question. Was it Dad's baby? It doesn't matter whose it was. He left. He abandoned his responsibilities. You're not answering. Juliet's hands were fists. You cheated on him, didn't you? Your father was cold, distant. I was lonely. Kyle paid attention to me. The words came fast, defensive. He made me feel valued. Kyle was my gym teacher. Juliet's voice broke. I was in high school. You were sleeping with my gym teacher while married to Dad. Kyle stood from the table. Nadine stopped talking. Let the lawyer handle this, Kyle said quietly. Lawyer? Juliet looked between them. What lawyer? Nadine wiped the tears that came too easily. Your father owes us money, Juliet. For you. For the life he destroyed. He's not fighting you over me. He's fighting because you stole from him. I protected what was mine. It wasn't yours. Juliet backed toward the door. None of it was yours. And you knew it. If you go to him, Nadine's voice shook. If you choose him over me, you're choosing a man who abandoned you. A coward. Juliet stopped at the door. You know what? I'm going to Colorado. I'm going to hear his side. The real side. Juliet, you don't. You don't get to decide who my family is anymore. She texted her father from her car. Tom slid into the passenger seat without being asked. I'm driving to Colorado. We need to talk. Just you and me. His response came quickly. Your mother will be here tomorrow with her lawyer for a meeting. Come if you want the truth. Tom looked at her. 8-hour drive. I'll navigate. Thank you. What are you going to do when you get there? Juliet gripped the wheel, the receipt still in her pocket. Ask the questions I should have asked 5 years ago. Juliet's car appeared 3 hours early, dust rising behind it in the dawn light. Lyle watched from his porch, coffee warming his hands. Dale stood silent beside him, steadying presence. She got out alone. Tom stayed in the car, giving them space. Father and daughter faced each other across 5 years of silence and lies. She looked like Nadine had at that age. Same dark hair, same careful posture. But her eyes were his. Weary, hurt, searching. Tell me the truth, Juliet said. No greeting. All of it. And don't you dare lie to protect me. Lyle gestured to the porch chairs. She hesitated, then climbed the steps, sat as far from him as the small space allowed. Dale disappeared inside, giving privacy, but staying close. I need to know why you left, Juliet said. In your words. Lyle set down his mug, looked out the mountains. I came home early from the mill. Your mother was holding a baby. The baby at Kyle's eyes. I'd seen him at your school events. I knew immediately. You just knew by looking. I'd suspected for months. The way she pulled away. The way she lit up when his name came up. The baby confirmed it. He forced himself to meet her eyes. I got the paternity test the next day. Results came back. Not mine. So you just left. Abandoned us. I showed your mother the test. She didn't deny it. Said she'd been lonely. That I was too quiet, too boring. That Kyle made her feel young. His voice stayed level though the memory burned. I asked if she wanted a divorce. She said no, so we could work it out. Juliet's hands gripped the chair arms. Then why leave? She wouldn't stop seeing him. Told me I was being unreasonable. That I should accept reality and help raise the baby. He shook his head. I couldn't do it, Juliet. Couldn't die slowly in a house full of lies. You could have told me. Call me. Explained. You were 25. Building your life. I thought you'd be better off without me dragging you into it. His chest tightened. I was wrong. I tried to call once. You didn't answer. Your mother told me you didn't want to hear from me. That you'd said I was dead to you. Juliet pulled the receipt from her pocket. She told me you had a breakdown. That you were unstable. Dangerous even. I was heartbroken. But not unstable. Lyle's jaw set. I knew exactly what I was doing when I left. Dale emerged with coffee, set a mug in front of Juliet without a word, then retreated to lean against the cabin wall. The baby, Juliet said quietly. My half-brother. Where is he now? With your mother and Kyle. They married about a year after I left. Juliet's face crumpled. She married him. And the whole time she was calling you a deadbeat. She made choices. Bad ones. But that's between her and me. Lyle's voice softened. You don't have to hate her, Juliet. She's still your mother. How can you be kind about this? She destroyed you. She didn't destroy me. I'm here. I built something honest. He managed a sad smile. You're here. That's not destruction. That's survival. Dale moved then, carrying the lockbox. Set on the table between them. Your dad's not the only one who's been gathering truth, Dale said. Juliet looked at the folders inside. What is this? 5 years of evidence. Forged signatures. Stolen money. False police reports. All documented. Lyle opened the first folder. Showed Juliet the deed transfer with a forged signature. Then bank records showing the theft. Then the police report claiming he was suicidal. She did this. Juliet whispered. All of it. Within 2 weeks of me leaving. Lyle confirmed. She planned it from the moment I drove away. Juliet found the letter Lyle had written to himself. Read his handwriting, his pain from 5 years ago. You wrote this the day you left. I don't remember writing it. The notary kept it when I didn't come back. Juliet set the letter down carefully. She told me you had a breakdown. That we couldn't trust you. I was heartbroken. Not dangerous. Just done. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, face hardening. Mom wants to know where I am. She looked at Lyle. Her lawyer meeting is in 2 hours. I'm staying. I want to be there when you show her the evidence. Juliet, it's going to be ugly. She'll fight. Good. Her voice was steel-wrapped and hurt. I need to hear from her. I need to watch her face when she can't lie anymore. A second car appeared an hour later. Older sedan, Kansas plates. A young woman got out, mid-20s, with Lyle's eyes and Nadine's determined chin. Nora. Juliet stood from the porch. What are you doing here? Same thing you are. Nora's voice was calm. Hearing the truth. You knew where he was. Juliet's voice rose. This whole time you knew. I kept in touch. Anonymously at first. Then occasional calls. Nora climbed the steps. Not that I owe you an explanation, considering you wrote him off without questions. Girls, Lyle started. Don't. Both daughters said it simultaneously. Nora turned to Juliet. 3 years ago, at Grandma's funeral, I suggested inviting Dad. You called me a traitor. Said if I wanted to side with a deadbeat, I could do it alone. Because he abandoned us. Because Mom told you he did. There's a difference. Nora's voice stayed level. I'm a journalist, Jules. I investigate for a living. And what I found didn't match Mom's story. Juliet stared at her younger sister. 3 years of silence between them. You've been in contact with him all along. Someone had to make sure he was okay. Nora looked at their father. Someone had to believe him. Lyle stood between his daughters. Years of separation crystallizing in this moment. Nora came to see me twice, he said quietly. Never pushed for more than I could give. Just wanted to know I was alive. Juliet's anger crumpled into something else. Shame, maybe. Or regret. I should have asked, she whispered. Should have questioned Mom's story. You were her daughter. You're supposed to believe your mother. Lyle's voice was gentle. Even when she's lying. Nora moved closer to Juliet. He disappeared after learning the truth about the baby, Jules. Mom tracked him down 5 years later. Not to apologize. To steal more. The phrasing hung in the air. The same words from the YouTube thumbnail. Now spoken between sisters. I know. Juliet pulled out the paternity test receipt. I found this. That's why I'm here. Nora looked at the yellowed paper, then at her sister. 3 years of hurt and distance between them. I'm sorry I called you a traitor, Juliet said. I'm sorry I let you believe lies for so long. I should have fought harder to make you listen. The sisters stood there, Dale and Lyle watching, as years of manipulation began to crack apart. A black SUV appeared on the mountain road. Nadine and her lawyer. She's here, Nora said. Juliet straightened. Then let's end this. The sisters stood side by side for the first time in 3 years, united finally in seeking truth. Nadine and Gregory Ashford climbed the porch steps like they still held power. But something had changed. Juliet and Nora stood flanking their father, united. Dale leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Jennifer Walsh had her evidence organized on the table. What is this? Nadine's voice faltered when she saw both daughters. The reckoning, Nora said simply. Jennifer began without preamble. Mrs. Hollis, we have documentation of multiple felonies. Forgery, fraud, filing false police reports. Would you like to review the evidence before we proceed? Gregory held up a hand. Mrs. Hollis, I need to speak with you privately. No. Lyle's voice was firm. Whatever needs to be said, get said in front of my daughters. They've lived with lies long enough. Jennifer spread the first document. The house deed. Your signature, Mr. Hollis, on the partnership dissolution. She placed the county deed beside it. And the forged signature transferring the house. They're clearly different. Nadine's face went pale. Bank records showing your retirement account liquidated. Funds transferred to Kyle Brennan's account. Jennifer's voice stayed professional. Police report filed the same day Mr. Hollis left, claiming suicidal tendencies. Used to justify emergency financial access. I was protecting my family, Nadine said, but the words sounded hollow. You were covering your tracks, Juliet said. Her voice shook but held firm. I found the paternity test receipt, Mom. In Dad's jacket. The one you told me to throw away. Nadine's eyes widened. Juliet, you don't understand. I understand you had an affair. Got pregnant. Then destroyed Dad when he refused to pretend it didn't happen. Nora stepped forward. I've been investigating you for 2 years, Mom. I have emails between you and Kyle going back 7 years. Plans to be together once you handle Dad. That's a direct quote. You were spying on me. Nadine's voice rose. I was finding the truth you refused to tell. Nora's voice was ice. Someone had to. Gregory Ashford stood abruptly. Mrs. Hollis, I'm withdrawing from representation. You need criminal defense, not civil counsel. He gathered his briefcase. I was not informed of fraudulent documents. This firm cannot be associated with. You're abandoning me? Nadine's voice pitched higher. I'm protecting my license. He left without another word. The silence that followed was profound. Kyle appeared at the bottom of the steps, drawn by the raised voices. He took one look at the scene and started backing toward his car. Don't you dare, Juliet called down to him. You don't get a run. He stopped, shoulders hunched. Did you know? Juliet asked. About the forged documents? The stolen money. Kyle's silence was answer enough. Get off this property, Lyle said quietly. Both of you. And Kyle, if I see you around my daughters again, we'll have a different kind of conversation. The threat was mild, but the steel behind it was unmistakable. Kyle scrambled to his car. Nadine stood alone on the porch, her carefully constructed world crumbling. I did what I had to do. You did what you wanted, Lyle corrected. There's a difference. What happens now? Nadine looked at Jennifer. You have two options. Option 1, criminal charges. You face trial, possible jail time, and everything becomes public record. Jennifer pulled out papers. Option 2, you sign a full confession, return all stolen funds, publicly admit to the fraud, and we settle for restitution instead of prosecution. And if I choose option 2, you write a check for what you stole, you sign these documents admitting wrongdoing, and you stay out of Lyle's life permanently. Nadine's hands shook as she reached for the pen. My reputation will be destroyed. Your reputation was built on lies, Nora said coldly. Now it'll be built on truth. As Nadine signed document after document, her daughters watched, not with satisfaction, with sadness for what had been lost, for the mother they thought they knew. When it was done, Nadine stood to leave. She paused at the steps, looked back at Lyle. I'd have loved you once, before everything went wrong. I know, Lyle said, but love without honesty isn't love. It's just comfortable lies. She left. The sound of her car faded into mountain silence. 4 months changed the shape of things in ways both small and profound. The legal settlement went through without contest. Nadine returned most of the money, took a plea deal that kept her out of jail, but required community service and public acknowledgement of fraud. The local paper ran the story. Small town, big scandal. But Lyle was vindicated. Juliet came to visit twice a month. Still called him Lyle, not Dad. The word was warming between them, like snow melting in spring sunshine. She'd postponed her wedding, needing time to process everything. Tom understood. Good man, that one. Nora visited more often. She'd taken a freelance journalism contract that let her work remotely, spent weeks at a time in a small cabin she'd rented 20 miles down the mountain. Close but not crowding, respecting boundaries while rebuilding bridges. The Saturday before Thanksgiving, both daughters came for dinner. While cooked steaks on the grill Dale had helped them build. Nothing fancy, just good meat, simple sides, honest food. I talked to Mom yesterday, Juliet said as they ate on the porch. The November air was cold, but clear. She asked if I'd invited you to Thanksgiving dinner at her place. What did you say? I said I was having Thanksgiving here, with my father or my sister. Juliet met his eyes. She didn't take it well. She'll adjust, Nora said. Or she won't. Either way, we're done letting her decisions control ours. Dale appeared from across the clearing, carrying a pie. Helen made extra. Figured you could use dessert. Helen was Dale's daughter, who'd driven up from Denver last month. They'd been estranged for 15 years before Dale's involvement in Lyle's case inspired her to reach out. Funny how truth had a way of spreading. Thank her for us, Lyle said. After dinner, as the sun set behind the peaks, the three of them sat in chairs on the porch. Lyle in the middle, his daughters on either side. Not the family he'd lost, the family he'd found. Can I ask you something? Juliet's voice was quiet. Why did you stay gone so long, even after you knew we might listen? Lyle considered the question. Fear, mostly. Fear that you'd reject me again. Fear that telling the truth would hurt you more than the lies already had. He looked at both his daughters. I was wrong. Truth hurts, but lies destroy. I should have fought sooner. You fought when it mattered, Nora said. That's what counts. Juliet's hand found his. Tentative, uncertain, but real. I'm sorry I didn't ask questions 5 years ago. You're asking them now. That takes more courage than getting it right the first time. They sat as darkness settled over the mountains. Three people who'd found their way back to each other through wreckage and time. Lyle. Juliet's voice was soft. Yeah. Would it be okay if I tried calling you Dad? Just to see how it feels. His throat tightened. I like that very much. Okay then. She squeezed his hand. Dad. The word hung in the cold November air. Simple. True. Earned. Nora leaned her head against his shoulder. We're having Thanksgiving here next week. Fair warning. I can't cook worth a damn. I'll handle the turkey, Lyle said. You two bring sides. Deal. Inside, through the window, Dale raised his coffee mug in a silent salute. Old veteran, keeper of evidence, guardian of truth. The man who believed when believing mattered most. The mountains stood eternal around them. The same peaks that had witnessed Lyle's arrival 5 years ago, broken and running, now witnessed his daughter's return and his own emergence from isolation. Not running anymore. Just living. Honest, imperfect, real. The porch held 3 chairs now instead of 1. Coffee shared in comfortable silence. A family rebuilt on truth instead of obligation. Home.